A lot of the financial confidence you see around you isn't confidence at all. It's performance. People are faking it till they make it. And sometimes they never actually make it. And there's a quiet moment that happens in a lot of people's lives. It doesn't look dramatic on the outside. You might be sitting at dinner with friends or scrolling social media late at night after a long day of work, or maybe you're driving home from work and noticing the cars around you, the houses, the restaurants that seem full every night, and a thought crosses your mind. It's subtle, almost uncomfortable to say out loud. How is everyone else doing this? Because from the outside, it looks like people around you have figured something out, nice apartments, newer cars, vacations that show up on Instagram every few months, people celebrating promotions, investments, side businesses, new homes. And after a while, if you're honest with yourself, a quiet pressure starts forming. Maybe I'm behind. Maybe I should be further along. Maybe everyone else understands something about money that I don't. But here's the strange truth that most people eventually discover: a lot of the financial confidence you see around you isn't confidence at all, it's performance. People are faking it till they make it. And sometimes they never actually make it. The phrase "fake it till you make it" originally had a very different meaning. It was meant to encourage courage. Act confident until confidence grows. Show up even if you feel unsure. Take the opportunity even if you're still learning. In some areas of life, that advice works well. But with money, something interesting has happened over the years. The phrase slowly shifted. Instead of practicing confidence, people started performing success, looking successful, living in a way that suggests things are going better financially than they really are. And modern life makes that performance surprisingly easy. You can lease a car that costs more than your savings account. You can furnish an apartment beautifully with payment plans. You can travel on credit cards. You can dress well, eat well, post well. And from the outside, it all looks like progress. The tricky part is that appearances are incredibly convincing, not just to other people, but to ourselves. And once you begin organizing your life around appearing financially successful, rather than building financial stability, a subtle shift begins. Progress gets replaced by performance. And the longer that performance continues, the harder it becomes to build the real thing. To really understand why this happens, we have to step away from spreadsheets for a moment, because this isn't primarily a math problem, it's a psychology problem. Human beings are deeply influenced by social signals. We are constantly observing the people around us, how they live, what they drive, where they eat, how they dress. These signals quietly communicate status, and status matters more than most people want to admit, not because people are shallow, but because belonging has always mattered for survival. For most of human history, belonging to a tribe increased your chances of living. So our brains evolved to pay attention to social cues. Today, those cues show up through lifestyle, the neighborhood someone lives in, the vacations they take, the restaurants they visit, the technology they own. When you see enough of those signals around you, a quiet message forms in your mind: this must be normal. And if this is normal, maybe I should be living like this too. This is called social proof. Like, your brain assumes that if enough people are doing something, it must be the correct behavior. But here's where modern life complicates things, because access to credit has blurred the line between wealth and lifestyle. In earlier generations, wealth was harder to imitate. Owning land, businesses, or significant assets took years of accumulation. Today, many symbols of success can be accessed immediately through financing. A $70,000 car can be driven home with a signature, a luxury apartment can be rented with a deposit, a vacation can be booked with a credit card. And when many people around you are doing the same thing, the illusion becomes powerful. It starts to feel like success is everywhere, when in reality, much of it is leverage. Now imagine someone gets a raise. Their income increases from $60,000 to $80,000. On paper, that should create breathing room, more savings, less stress, more flexibility. But here's what usually happens: if the apartment upgrades slightly, the car improves, dining out becomes more frequent, convenience spending increases, subscriptions stack quietly in the background. None of these decisions feel irresponsible. Each one feels small, reasonable, even deserved. And after all, income increased. But here's where the psychology becomes interesting. Your brain adapts quickly to new baselines. What once felt like luxury begins to feel normal. And once something feels normal, it becomes difficult to give up. So instead of needing $60,000 to maintain life, you now need $80,000. Your lifestyle expands to match your income, which means the financial pressure doesn't disappear, it just grows with you. This phenomenon is known as lifestyle inflation, but it's not really about luxury. It's about expectations. When expectations rise faster than financial security, stress remains. And this is where faking it quietly traps people, because the lifestyle looks stable, but the underlying structure isn't. One of the biggest invisible costs of financial pretending is time, specifically the time required for compound growth. Compound growth is one of the most powerful forces in finance. When money is invested early, it grows not just from your contributions, but from the returns generated over time. The longer that money sits invested, the more powerful the compounding becomes. A dollar invested at 25 has far more time to multiply than a dollar invested at 40. But when income increases are absorbed entirely by lifestyle, those early compounding years disappear. Instead of investing $500 a month into long term assets, that $500 flows toward lifestyle upgrades. Restaurants, cars, subscriptions, convenience, none of which produce future returns. And years later, when someone finally decides they want to build wealth seriously, they face a difficult reality. Their lifestyle now requires most of their income, which makes saving feel painful, and painful habits rarely last. There's another psychological layer to this pattern, and it's something people rarely talk about openly. When you perform financial success, you also carry the pressure of maintaining it. You can't easily scale back without feeling like you're moving backward. You can't downgrade your lifestyle without worrying about what people will think. So the performance continues, even if the numbers underneath are uncomfortable. This creates what psychologists sometimes call identity lock in. You begin identifying with a certain lifestyle. And once identity becomes attached to lifestyle, changing financial behavior feels like losing part of yourself. This is why some people continue living beyond their means, even when they know something needs to change, because the lifestyle has become part of their identity. At some point, many people experience a quiet realization. Usually, after a few years of working hard but still feeling financially tense, they realize something important. Looking successful and being financially stable are two completely different things. One is external, the other is structural. Looking successful depends on perception. Being financially stable depends on margin. Margin is one of the most underrated concepts in money, and it simply means your income is comfortably higher than your expenses. That difference creates breathing room, and breathing room creates freedom. When you have margin, unexpected expenses don't derail you. When you have margin, job decisions become less stressful. When you have margin, you can invest consistently without panic. None of those benefits come from appearances, they come from structure. And once someone understands that difference, their financial decisions start changing, not dramatically, but quietly. If you recognize some of these patterns in your own life, the goal isn't to feel ashamed. Almost everyone goes through a phase of trying to look like they're doing better than they feel internally. The shift begins with awareness, noticing when decisions are influenced by appearance rather than alignment. Asking yourself simple questions. Does this purchase create stability or pressure? Does this upgrade improve my life or just my image? If my income paused tomorrow, would my lifestyle still feel manageable? Those questions aren't meant to restrict your life, they're meant to restore clarity. Because once clarity appears, intentional decisions become easier. You might choose to live slightly below your means, even when you could technically spend more. You might direct raises toward savings instead of lifestyle upgrades. You might invest consistently before expanding your expenses. None of these decisions look dramatic, but over time, they change the trajectory of your life. Because wealth is rarely built through dramatic moves, it's built through quiet patterns. One of the quiet truths about wealth is that it rarely looks impressive while it's being built. From the outside, it often looks ordinary. Driving a reliable car longer than necessary, living in a home that costs less than you could afford, saving money before upgrading your lifestyle, investing consistently while others are spending. Those choices don't always receive applause, but over time, they create something incredibly valuable: peace of mind, the ability to move through life without constant financial tension, the freedom to make decisions based on alignment rather than pressure. So if it ever feels like everyone around you has already figured things out, remember this: many people are performing financial success, very few are quietly building financial stability. And the people who eventually become financially secure usually aren't the ones trying to look successful today. They're the ones making calm, sometimes invisible decisions that give their future room to grow, not perfectly, just consistently. And over time, that consistency tends to matter far more than appearances ever will.